metadata is often more important than content. That is to say, the fact that a communication occurred, the time a call was made, who it was made to, how long it was for, the kind of associations you can derive from this kind of information, as opposed to what was said on the call. These things are not protected by encryption. You can get a copy of everybody's SMSs that are sent back and forth from the phone service providers themselves, not Apple, but from AT&T, or Verizon, or Sprint, and so
unless they're using one of the something like 100 new secure messaging apps. We have the CEO of one of them, Telegram, here in the room, that are designed to prevent interception. So I mean,
but in those cases, when we're talking specifically about encrypted messaging services, this does not stop the intelligence community. Again, this is what I did professionally. This is something that happens every day of the week, even on Sundays at the National Security Agency. You can gain the content of encrypted communications off of encrypted devices based on a very simple principle, which is encryption that can never be decrypted is useless, right? Because you as the individual, you as the owner of that information, if it were encrypted basically even against you and you were looking at your photograph, it would look like white noise. It would look like static. It wouldn't be distinguishable from random information. In order for you to access that information, you have to be able to decrypt that information yourself, which means sort of how it's implemented is on the device, the key to the encryption. You can think of encryption basically as a math problem, and your password is the solution to it. The solution being, actually, it's one of the variables used in solving the problem, where it returns basically your images, your SMSs, whatever it was that was encrypted on the device. Now, if you hack that phone, which is a very standard thing, it's quite easy to do. It's done, again, even by very non-sophisticated countries and governments around the world. You can then steal that key while it's in memory. But even if you can't do that, let's assume that devices are completely secure, not just against law enforcement, but against criminals, against everybody like that. Apple releases their next version of the iPhone. There are no backdoors. It's completely robust security. That device itself also cannot be broken into, so the key cannot be stolen sort of while it's in use. We had a case recently, the Silk Road case, which was about an online drug market. The individual who was convicted in the case quite recently was named Ross Ulbricht. He was a gentleman in Texas, I believe. And how did they compromise this? Now, the drug market itself was protected by robust, redundant layers of encryption for the communications going online. They were rerouted, so no one was supposed to understand who was involved in it, who ran it, and yet they discovered this. And when they identified the individual, they found out that he used means of encryption that have since been reported. The N.S.A. cannot break them. They're not backdoored, they are secured, and he's one of these individuals using sort of these advanced methods, GPG and so forth. Despite this, when it came to the time of the trial in court, they were reading his diary entries that had been encrypted to everyone in the courtroom. Now, how did that occur? The fact of the matter is, when law enforcement needs to gain access to something badly enough, they come up with a means. Sources and methods of investigation are constantly being invented. They're being developed in response to these new changes in technology, these new changes in the way people interact with their devices and their private lives. In this particular case, this guy was going to public libraries, so he wasn't communicating from his own home internet address. He would then open his encrypted laptop, he would decrypt it, he would begin working on it and administering sort of his drug market. What the FBI did, which was actually quite clever if you think about it, was they staged, as a pretext, a domestic dispute within the library that distracted his attention to one direction, and as he looks over to the left, an agent moves over to the right and pulls his unencrypted laptop away and basically enters it into evidence.